Good morning. Welcome to the
Hey,
app.
we're back.
Devin is back in the mix.
Dude, I've been trying to get here for so long.
Long awaited return.
Yes,
He
hell
snuck
yes.
in. How's it going, Devin?
I feel good, man. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
thanks for having me back.
No, you're
I'm
good, man. You're good.
looking
You're
forward
good.
to this. You showed me the topic list yesterday. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I got excited.
No, I swear to God, I saw them yesterday and I was like, I'm trying to like tailor now the topics to like certain people in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this episode topics and like the nicest way possible like is Devin.
Yeah.
I feel like from like the person most closest to the topics is Devin. I think let's just dive into it.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Mr. X, Mr. Elon Musk is in the mix again.
Mm-hmm.
He's had one hell of a 2024.
Has he ever? Yeah.
Yeah. And recently he's been in the news to well, okay, let's just go over like how X's performance in 2024 was. Now, objectively, it's been on the decline in like every metric possible. I know that the total number of users has gone down, the total engagement has gone down, obviously. The actual value of X as a company has like dwindled. In 2024, I think it went down like 30 to 40%, some crazy stupid statistic like that. But yeah, now I think are you on X?
I am, yeah.
Have you used it less as the year progressed or used it more?
So, actually, I think I've used it consistently the same, but in like a really, I think I'm in a more of a unique way because I'm also a journalist.
Yeah.
And, as toxic and as, full of disinformation as X has become, it's still, myself and a lot of journalists find information still moves the fastest there compared to other social media platforms. So I still end up checking in on it, but I do have to try and limit myself because I do find, myself having a much worse time than I used to.
I'm kind of on the same page because I thought I'd be like using X less and less as the year progressed, especially like during like the election. It was like really hard to avoid any of the toxic narrative from any side on earth. But I feel like the way I've used it now is that I've eliminated the For You tab. Like I only go into the following tab.
Right.
And now
that's
everything
smart.
I see, everything I interact with is like tailored for me. Because I don't know about you, but like if I went on the For You tab now, there'll be like a lot of like random tweets that have like 200,000 likes that I don't think should have 200,000 likes.
Yeah.
It'd be like the most rage baity, fucking like condescending, polarizing tweets ever, and that's what like works on Twitter.
Yeah.
X, but no, I think there's also, I don't know if you've used the feature of like communities, but like I'm in a lot of communities.
No, I've seen a few other platforms that have tried that. I haven't really explored that.
Yeah. Basically, it's like, it's almost like another X, just, I mean, yeah, it's almost like an exclusive X app for like certain demographics, certain topics. So like if I'm into like football or soccer, I join this one community, and now every tweet from there is from people that have the same interest, and everybody that replies, like, I'm just describing what a community is, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, cool.
yeah. So Elon Musk is in the mix again. He's urging users to, what was it? He's urging users to
be more positive.
Be more
gonna
positive.
Punish negativity, which I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Do you know about the timing of this and like what happened with him and the Trump people? So
No, break it down.
he oh gosh, it's a little bit complicated because obviously he's really tied to Trump and his people now, and the MAGA base has gotten real behind him.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. What he said, and I'm really like simplifying this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Basically, he showed support for these types of visas in the U.S. that allow big tech bros like himself to bring in skilled labor from overseas. His reasoning being, and this is him saying this, is that it's cheaper than hiring in the U.S. and also people from like he used like India and China are just smarter than Americans, and that because Trump's base is very generally anti-immigration, that pissed them off. So he kind of for a while had this big back and forth of some of the MAGA base kind of turning on him.
Yeah.
And there's this whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
And now it's after all of that
Yeah.
that he was the victim here.
Yeah.
That suddenly he's like, guys, let's be more
Yeah.
positive. Let's be happier
Yeah,
out here.
it's funny. I
So-
mean, the tweet itself is really funny. Like, it literally goes like, "Hey guys, can users please be more positive and not be as negative? Thanks." It goes along those lines, and obviously, like any tweet he's ever tweeted, it's garnered like a fucking bunch of impressions, engagement, whatever, and people don't really like it because over like the past year, I feel like he's had this like narrative of being like super far right, super pro Trumpy, blah blah blah, and not all, but a lot of that side of the internet is very toxic. Is very I want to say mean, like just straight up mean.
It just feels mean-spirited.
Bigoted sometimes, and I think that like you can't do like 1 to like 2-3 years of damage and like be like, hey guys, let's stop. You know what I mean?
I think it's just because he's sat all the way up the top, and this is like, what I was describing before. It's like the first time, like he's really been the victim, and it felt like the whole, like everybody was against him.
Yeah.
And I think, and you know, he thinks he's the center of the universe.
Yeah.
So now he thinks it's like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
You know, my feelings are hurt, therefore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know. Everything's so negative towards me, therefore I think the whole world is negative now. So I'm gonna, make this statement.
And plus, like the other thing is that like the tweet, I feel like it's too vague. Like, what do you mean? Can we be more positive? What does positive mean?
Yeah.
So who's people's like positivity is almost like subjective to like different people. I feel like, and
totally.
I feel like positive to. Like, let's say, like a right-wing person is maybe a little different to a left-wing person. And maybe there's, like, no overlap there.
Yeah, well, then, but also, totally. It's totally subjective, and, what's to stop anyone from seeing something that, they interpret as negative, but other people think is all good.
Yeah.
And then that just creates a whole shit show. Like, the same kind of, the usual kind of just mud fighting, mudslinging you see on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
I feel like there's something in there where like now because like what does we don't know, we can just infer, but like what does Elon Musk mean by the word negativity? Like because he's had like a year or two of like free speech to the max, me, it's facts not feelings, blah blah blah, and now the second that he's being criticized, suddenly it's guys, this is negative.
I think just from his perspective, I'm sure negativity is anything that makes him and solely him
Feel
unhappy.
sad.
Yep. If it's him being bullied or he sees something he doesn't like, that's negative. That's bad. That's my take. I think just X is, I still call it Twitter, frankly, but like I think it's just his own. Yeah. He just uses it to piss and moan about whatever.
I think it's like it's pure hypocrisy. I feel like.
Totally.
I don't know, like. Sure, it might come from the aspect of like, oh yes, you guys hurt my feelings, blah blah. But I think there's also some of it is trying to save face because I think maybe this might be at a like this might be a reach, but I feel like maybe the amount of money that he's lost on this project is starting to affect him. Yeah, maybe there's something in that where like the amount of advertisers that pulled out, it's almost like. Now he might be like reconsidering it.
Yeah, I think he's learning probably the hard way why why there's why other social media platforms have these rules in place around just around hate speech and everything because I mean even like you look at Meta, I write and read tons about them, and it's like it's all about they just want ad revenue. They want people to be using them to advertise, and if they can't create something, a space that aligns with, some universal views out there, then it just, it all falls apart. And I think he's realizing the hard way, like, I kind of need to do more to protect this space. And I'm sure he's also trying to save face, and I don't know what kind of way. I think, public opinion's turned strongly against him over the years. I feel like.
Can I ask, is it too late to put this message out? Like, I personally, I feel like it's the damage has been done, and I feel like one tweet won't like reverse any of the sort of like dialect has been using online and the kind of community has garnered for the last like 2 years.
I think, I mean, I do think absolutely damage has been done.
Yeah.
I think, and then maybe this is a bit to ask from people on spaces like Twitter, where it's like speech is so limited, people are so brief and blunt to the point. But I think we need more. Like I just want to see actual evidence of this. Like if somehow if this was like I don't know if he's like Ebenezer Scrooge, he was visited by the ghost of Christmas past or some shit. Like I want to see like what's he actually got planned to turn this around. Otherwise, he's just saying shit. You know? Otherwise, I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, and I think like ultimately like X or like any social media app, it ultimately just reflects human behavior. Like people aren't going on these apps to like put on a facade. Really, they're exposing themselves. And people are like really their like rawest form on social media, especially X. People are like unapologetically themselves on X. It's a little scary. But I mean, if you're watching, let us know in the comments. Do you think that Elon's push for positivity is a genius move, or is it hypocrisy at its best? Moving on.
Yeah.
New metal.
Yeah, man.
Nickelback.
I don't know. Nickelback's new metal, but also lots of that.
Okay, can I ask what the hell is new metal?
It's a complicated kind of broad term. I think it refers to a lot of music that like you generally blends hip hop with metal with rock.
Yeah.
Those are your Linkin Parks, Limp Bizkits, Korn, bands like that. They're often there are a lot of bands that you kind of love or you hate.
Yeah.
Especially from like late '90s, early 2000s that they had their commercial peak.
Yeah. And now I feel like a boomer, but is Nickelback considered new metal?
They're no, they're not new metal. They're sort of like I don't know what you call them. They're definitely rock of some sort, but it's sort of like kind of cringy pop, safe pop radio, like rock.
Yeah.
I think that's how they've been perceived.
Yeah.
Especially back in the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So you wrote this article, and I thought it was pretty interesting how like how the tide has shifted, and now like Nickelback is, I want to say more successful than ever, more popular than ever now.
I don't know. I think it depends how you look at it, because commercially, like should be clear. Commercially speaking, like a lot of these bands we're talking about, they're not like topping many charts unless you're Linkin Park. They got a new album, they topped the mainstream rock charts for a while. But no, I think commercially I don't know if they're much up there, but I do think public perception has changed a bit. Like because I know growing up, like I thought it was fun to hate Limp Bizkit, or Nickelback was the butt of every joke. It's like
Can I ask why? Like where does this come from? Like what's the reason? Why are these bands like back in the mix? Why are they like almost cool again? Sure, they're not at their peak like what they were at like in the 2000s, but like I feel like they're relatively more universally loved now than they were in the 2000s.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's definitely a greater, a lot more love coming their way. Generally, I think there's a few different factors. So I know in some cases, like memes have like played a role. Like I think of Creed is another band. They're Higher, their song Higher. Like that was I remember. I think it still is a meme for a while, and then it just like there are people like kind of. Over time, just like, actually, I kind of really like this. It's really nice. And so I think meme culture, on one hand, meme culture, I think is sort of bringing back, hit the mic, just kind of bringing back this resurgence of, what would be like 20-year-old music now. But then also, like, we have, like, the internet, with all that's wrong with it, and social media, all that's the toxicity out there, it's a much greater melting pot of ideas and creativity. And so I think a lot of people are out there and they're, you know, I think people, like you were saying with X, just feel more comfortable being themselves.
Yeah.
And because the thing is, like, you know, like there are definitely fans of these bands.
For sure.
People have always, there have always been fans, but it's like something you kind of, you know, you keep tucked away. You don't want people to know you like Limp Bizkit, you know? But now it's like you go out there and it's much easier to find people who align with you.
Yeah.
And so I think people get that. I think people, just feel more comfortable with that. And I don't know. I think also, like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I kind of delve into a little bit in the article, but it's like, I do feel like there's so much, like, my hot take is that there's so much fucked up in the world right now that people are, like, at a point where they just, you know, they look at, like, Limp Bizkit and they're just like, you know what?
It's harmless.
It's harmless, but also, like, you know what? I think it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I don't care what other people think. Those guitars, you know, like, DJ scratches, like, that was like cringe for a while. And now it's like, you know what? Sounds cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
I think there's something in that where like, for one, it might be like, sure, you can like, I think the lazy answer is to like to tie it down to nostalgia, but I think the other one is it's a bit of nostalgia and it's a bit of like people have like the people that grew up listening to that and liking that music, they've grown up now and they're like less insecure about their interests as much as niche as they are.
That's true too.
It's almost like I don't really care anymore if you like it or not. Totally, and like there's like almost, and like the good thing now you've touched on it, like there's always like a community of people that like what you like, so it's a bit more validating. Whereas back then, maybe like with the lack of like social media apps, you couldn't really find a community that liked Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
In a town of 200 people, maybe you're like one of 3 people that like their music.
Yeah.
But now you go and there's like a subreddit with like fucking 20, 30,000 people that like really rock with these people.
Yeah.
You know?
I think people feel safer tapping into that.
Yeah.
And,
I think the other thing is that like, I mean, I'm strictly going off pointers here, but like I like the saying like cringe feeds with confidence.
Yeah.
And this is like so true with almost everything. Like even like when it comes to fashion, like I remember like back in the 2000s, like early 2000s, like Jenko jeans, like the big ass jeans were like actually cringe. And like I guess you can kind of like tie it into the music genre that is like nu metal almost like. Yeah. The person that would be listening to that music would most likely be wearing like Jenko jeans. Right. And now like they're it's had some time to like for people to miss it. But I think people are just like more confident than ever in like their own thing, that it's just like I'm this, you can either be with me or against me kind of thing.
Yeah. I had a point. I think now you made a great point. I think just about like cringe and confidence though, because I don't know if this relates totally to what you were saying, but like I do think like I'm a believer that like, you know, like in terms of like fashion, you know, like or making art or anything, like, you know, it becomes much more likable if you just do it with confidence. You know, I could dress like shit, but you know, if I just like, you know, if I'm confident about it, I don't let it bother me. Then it kind of switches. The whole narrative and the mindsets of people around you. So, well, and I think with like music, like I know you look at like, I mean, Limp Bizkit's actually a great example because when a lot of people say they hate Limp Bizkit, more or less they mean they hate Fred Durst, the vocalist. Because have you ever listened to that before? He has a
tell me,
because the thing is that like you take him out of the picture, they actually sound like a really fucking cool band, but then. His vocals, he has very kind of whiny, like, his whole thing is like, he has really kind of just shit lyrics. Okay, fair enough, generally, fair enough. You know, and he does a lot of like, his voice, I'll try it. It goes to a pitch, he's like, you know, hands up, hey. Literally, that's how he talks, how he raps.
That's like half the rappers I listen to now.
But maybe that's part of it, like, because that was the thing. We were like, oh, he sounds horrible. I don't like him. And then it's like, I think now it's like, you know what, you know, as terrible as his lyrics are, as wild as he sounds, you know, he is pretty fucking confident on stage and on the mic. And I think people are drawn to that. And you know, even if his voice is divisive, you know, he does it with confidence, and I think that attracts the right crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think it's something. Yeah, like having like a confident community makes it almost more enticing to the average person to like tap in. Like if I mean it really because I'm more tapped into like the underground like rap scene, and like whenever I see like a tight knit community that's like rooting for this one guy, even if objectively to me his music is trash, every time he drops something, I'm going to give it a listen because like 20,000 people say they like it. Am I missing something?
Right.
Kind of thing?
Right.
And like them rooting so hard for that interest or that music or that fashion or that trend, whatever, makes me go like, oh, let me tap in. Like there's almost like a tiny bit of FOMO there, I think. That you're like, oh damn, maybe I'm missing something. Let me just give it another go.
Yeah. No. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great way of looking at it. And I think also it's worth noting, like I think everyone knows the phrase "beauty's in the eye of the beholder."
Yep.
Like that's, I think it's tossed around a lot. It was kind of vague, but I do think like generally speaking, you like what you like.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, I think like the odds are I'm sure we got different music tastes. I'm sure each of us have songs we'll listen to that they'll be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So it's like but I think that people are becoming, I think, more aware of that reality, and that's just a more accepted thing.
And I think that's something that's been like this like swing of tide thing is really important because it's almost like, I mean, think like Crocs. Like Crocs were the epitome of like cringe when I was in school.
Yeah.
And now they're like the cool boy shoe, like the cool girl shoe. Like if you don't have Crocs, you're almost like the weirdo now.
Yeah. Or like I think a New Balances.
Yeah.
New Balance.
Yeah.
Not these specific shoes.
But like in general, like dad shoes or like mesh runner shoes, like you couldn't be seen wearing them in the 2000s. Or like you could, but it wasn't deemed as fashionable.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's almost like the most fashionable shoe you can wear.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm sure, I think we've talked about it maybe.
Yeah.
When ages ago about, was it girls in the UK and dads in Ohio? Something like that.
Supermodels in the UK and like that.
That's it. Yeah.
I think there's just one last thing I'll touch on is that like there's a sense of validation for the person that is rocking with something that is cringe that's turned into like mainstream or that's turned into cool. So like if you're a Nickelback fan that was rocking with them unapologetically when they were getting shit and they were hated on, I think there's like a sense of like, I don't know, I guess relief or success, or like there's a really strong feeling of feel good energy when you start being like, oh, I was rocking with these people when it was not cool and now it's cool and now we're back.
Yeah.
And like I think there's like, I don't know what the word is, but there's something in that is like, because I almost felt that with wrestling, to be honest. Like wrestling was kind of cool back in the early 2000s, and then it just like lost its cool like for the last like, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so. But like now it's like more back than ever. And me rocking with them, or me like being part of a community that has like the wrestling stuff, seeing that people like it, be like now it makes me go like, oh, welcome back on board. Like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. It's validating. Yeah. You feel like. Because I think very few people, I think, can just be totally confident in themselves and be like, I like this. I don't care what a single other person thinks.
Yeah.
I like it. We do seek outside validation, external validation. And so I think absolutely when things like this, when these kinds of bands who are, 20 years ago would have been, were just trashed on, constantly, they're suddenly like, they're not massive now, but they're like, they're still selling out, decent amounts of shows, and then they're just more accepted. Generally, it's like, oh, totally. It's validating. The teens who listen to those bands back then, they're in their 30s and 40s now.
Yeah, they're all like adults, parents now. And
they're parents. They feel like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, fair. I'm gonna put you on the spot, so apologies in advance. But
Go for it.
What's something that like you think is cringe now that you think will be a trend or like will be cool? It could be something you're into, or it could be something that just you think is just like an objective like prediction.
That's a tough one. I'm trying to think what's cringe right now. What's not yet.
Genuinely, I think it's skinny jeans for me.
But you know, yeah, actually that might be it.
Like,
I'm gonna side with that skinny jeans just because I mean, I think about when I think about fashion, I mean, what came to mind when you said skinny jeans, I think of low-rise jeans because those have made a comeback now.
Yeah.
Or I saw someone, I was in downtown before and I saw it would have been like a high school girl walking around. She had kind of the flowy dress down to the knees and jeans under that. And I'm like, that's like, wow, that's making a comeback. So I think we're back in the 2000s fashion wise now, and I think we might make it back to the 2010s. And I think, it could be skinny jeans. I think a lot of that, like, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but like emo culture and like how people dress then.
Sure.
I got friends like that who, dress like that, and I think that could make all.
Even like to the extent of like, this is gonna be way too soon now, but like even like to the extent of like 2020 like e-boy e-girl stuff, I feel like that makes a comeback.
Yeah,
I feel like that becomes cool again at some point. Maybe not now, maybe not in 10 years, maybe in 20, 30 years, who knows. With that being said, guys, let us know, is there something that you think is cringe now that you think would be cool?
Let us know. We'll try to make a comeback.
Make your predictions in the comments. If you do, you can have the bragging right of being like, I was right.
Yep, and we will try to be the driving forces. Behind
we'll,
bringing this back.
We'll push that agenda.
We'll bring skinny jeans tomorrow.
Tomorrow is going to be a skinny jeans only episode.
Yes, let's go.
But guys, with that being said, guys, thanks so much for tuning to the podcast. Devin, any final words?
No.
Perfect.
Love you all. Yeah, thanks for joining.
See you tomorrow. Peace.
See ya.